last time on regular time.
Look, all I'm saying is that you just need to give Taylor Swift a shot. She may not be the best musician in the world, but she's a good musician,
I
boy.
don't know.
Granted,
No.
she ain't no Pat Benatar, but
You could say that again.
she got good songs. She got that one song.
Like
you know,
what? What song?
I don't know the name of it because I ain't never listened to it because I don't listen to her. But she pretty good.
No, let me tell you something. Who I want to hear is that lady that sings the Yu Yu Hakusho theme song, English or Japanese. She did not have to go that hard on that song, but she did. And that makes all the difference.
Come on, just give Taylor a shot. She said she wants you to listen to her music.
I would not listen to Taylor Swift if she put on a concert in my bathroom.
Well, you're right. The acoustics would be terrible, but I don't know. I mean, I'd probably at least swing by, see what was going on my way to the kitchen, make a sandwich. Speaking of which, can you make me a sandwich while I'm here?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I want a Reuben.
A what
A
now?
Reuben sandwich.
A
Jewish rye, not pumpernickel. And I want the real corned beef, not that turkey substitute bullcrap.
Now stand! Make up this dude a Reuben starter.
Shut up! Why are you here? What do you want? Why are you in our fine dining establishment?
Well, I figured you wanted me here because, last time you wouldn't shut up about how you wanted me to please come back.
I said please never come back.
Oh, well, you're welcome for me being here, first of all. And while I'm here, you think you could hang up these flyers for next week's Gallagher night?
We done went over this a few weeks back. I ain't hanging up crap for you.
Oh, come on, dude. He's just trying to make an honest living.
He is our competition, and I ain't doing crap for him. And you tell that little pooch back there at the back room to shut its face.
I refuse to acknowledge you as competition. I am not the competition. I am the only viable restaurant on this entire block. And you, sir, are a Swiftie.
Well, you're ugly, and I don't know what that means. Is that like the thing off Rick and Morty, let's get Swifty?
Yeah, you got me too. I don't know. I never watched Rick and Morty.
Yeah, Aqua Teen's definitely better.
Oh, yeah, you got that right. That Meatwad, he hecka funny. Yeah, they got that episode where they got a fat paw in the big fighting titan megazord type thing. Yeah, so good.
Oh, yeah, I remember that episode, Master Shake. He says, how about I shove his copper foot so far up your butt you'll be tasting pennies for a week? Classic.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that when Frylock wants to run the mouth and Master Shake wants to run the mouth, and Frylock's like, no, you gotta run the arms because they're more important. And then Master Shake ends up running the legs.
Oh, yeah, and then Meatwad say, I want to run the butt because that's where the booty shake.
Oh, yeah. Meatwad thinks that Frylock's building him a playground from all the fighting titan paws, and he thinks they're all slides and crap. But they're not. They're the fighting titan. And Carl walks over, and he's all like, "When some kid falls off that slide, I'm gonna be there to laugh at him."
Yeah, Carl's pretty funny, but Master Shake's the best. I mean, obviously.
Why are you still here? Leave. Who are you? What? Just leave. I don't even know what to call you. Just leave.
Well, legally speaking, I am Mr. Shake.
Wait a second. You mean the same Master Shake from Aqua?
Whoa, no. Mr. Shake. The legally different, but vaguely similar milkshake from across the road at Crushing Melons. You see, he's pistachio and I'm vanilla. That's just the way it's gotta work.
Oh, well, that's a good call, because I'm Spice King, and he's beef bob, or meat kebab, something, I don't know.
That's right. I put the kebab in hot throb. I don't even know what I just said.
Well, hey, that's great. Now, how about you hang up my flyers?
Fine, well, think about it.
Okay, good. I'm not gonna charge you this time. And, you're getting really annoying, so I'm gonna take my exit now. See you next week.
No, please, don't come back.
This time on regular show about the regular show.
Okay, listen, I'm kind of in a pickle here because
What's wrong,
on the
man?
show the other day, you weren't on it, and I told everybody that contrary to popular belief that I could read. I mean, the truth is, I can read real good.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't want to read because I can't read. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. No, yes. You know how hard it is to teach those ELA kids ELA when you can't even read. Crap. You know how long it takes me to memorize them freaking scripts that I gotta sign off to them? My gosh, it's crazy. And whenever they ask a question, I have no idea what's going on. I gotta pull something out of my hot end to convince them I'm not an imposter.
You telling me? I wish I could teach ELO, but I gotta do science. And them kids start talking about Newton's third law? I didn't even know he had a first law. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't know what third follow on the number line, but I know it come after the number one because I went to kindergarten and they taught me that. And then after that, I left that place in the dust because it's a scam. And that's what public education is. Because hacks like you and me trying to teach kids how to read when we can't even read. I mean, when we choose not to read. And I'm going to tell you something else. I thought that Sir Isaac Newton was in the Hall of Fame because he invented the Fig Newton.
Oh, hey, I don't know why he's in there, but I'm gonna tell you, it's probably not for the Fig Newton, because them things suck.
What? You take that about Fig Newton probably the best damn cookie ever invented on the planet.
No, it's a wannabe fruit ball, just face it.
Okay then, wise guy. Why don't you put your cookie where your mouth is and tell me if you got a better cookie than the Fig Newton?
Oh, rum raisin.
Dude, that's an ice cream. I don't know what you're talking about. You mean oatmeal cookie?
No, I mean rum raisin.
Well, I know what rum is, but why don't you tell it again? Because it's such a good story. Because I don't think you know what rum is.
Well, I mean,
I do.
of course okay, I don't know what it is, but rum raisin is the official cookie of Gin Rummy National Championship that comes under the PBSPN channel at midnight.
What's a gin rummy? Is that like when a genie and a mummy have a baby?
No, it's a card game to beat all card games.
Oh, you mean like Yu-Gi-Oh?
More like Pokemon.
Shoot, boy, you can keep that crap. I was always more of a Digimon kind of guy.
But well, no, wait. That's not it though. After they finish playing cards, they serve them salad with Monster Rancher dressing on top of it.
Oh my goodness, get out of town.
I'm already
You mean
gone.
to tell me the official ranch dressing or that one animated television show they used to show on the 4Kids Network early in the morning with that yellow thing with the big eyeball jumping around and that mochi monster?
Well, does the panda bear crap in the woods?
Oh my gosh, I thought to discontinue that.
Well, it's making a comeback.
Well, that's great. Hang on. You mean the show or the panda bear crap?
Well, heck, why not both? They're both about as good as each other.
Well, hot dog, this is a good day today.
Oh, hey, what are you doing in here?
Oh, the other guy, you look like you've been hit in the face with the ugly bus. Cut the tape, pops. Oh, we're just, just playing around. You know what I mean? Doing a show.
What show?
A no show. No show. Am I right? No show. Your guest was a no show. Yeah, that's what I meant. We were cleaning the analog tape machine, the studio, and we were, just cleaning that and tic-tac-toe. That's what tic-tac-toe.
Pretending to play tic-tac-toe, yes.
Oh, you were pretending to do a show. Okay.
Yes, we are the Muppet Babies
Yeah.
of podcasting.
Did you get the floor swept?
Yes.
Did you do your thing too, Meatball?
Oh, yeah. I rolled around on the floor and shined it up real good with my grease. Go jump off a cliff.
Do what now?
I said tariff. Yeah. The tariffs in this country are just so dang high. I mean, the economy, am I right? The 401k.
What 401k?
Oh, yeah, you got that right. Go walking on coming traffic.
Do what now?
I said to lock the door and watch the clock for ticks, because the ticking of the clock, it distract your listeners for your podcast.
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, thanks. Speaking of which, though, I'm going to need y'all to get out. I gotta record one here. We're going over the episode Dizzy today. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
The smell of you's making me dizzy.
Do what now?
I said I'd like to drink my carbonated drinks fizzy. Hey, you think you could possibly send us this to edit before you put it out?
Maybe.
Yeah,
What for?
we were doing some equipment testing on your Studebaker, Studer tape machine,
Yeah, stupid tape machine.
all the SSL console.
Yeah, the AOL
and
console.
Okay.
yeah, that too.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to calibrate everything properly before you put it out.
Sure. I guess. Yeah. Sure. Fine.
Yeah, just send it to Ice Cream. He'll know what to do.
Spice cream. Yeah, spice cream.
Oh yeah, Spice Cream. Yes. He'll know what to do. Just send it to him.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, come on. Yes, you do. Spice Cream. The guy that's legally different from, but vaguely similar to Ice Cream.
I don't know who that is.
Yes, you do. The postman!
wrong?
Sounds like some creepy mail carrier guy. That you want to put it in the mail, or
Oh, yeah, he does that too, overnight shipping for
Yeah,
the editing
it's
to
really
the
fast.
studio. You know what? Just give it to me and I'll deliver it to him, okay?
I thought you were the postman.
I am, but he doesn't know that.
sure, I'll get it to you right after I get finished. Get out.
Okay, pleasant podcasting to you, other guy. How are we ever going to convince people that we're wrong with the other guy now?
I don't know. Time travel?
Not this time.
Get out.
Sheesh.
All right, hit the voice modulator button here, the sound good button. Cowabunga, dudes and dudettes. Welcome to another episode of Just a Regular Show About the Regular Show. I'm your host, Kirkland. The only Kirkland that you've probably ever heard of. And once again, that's okay. And hopefully it will continue to be okay. We've got a doozy of an episode for you today. We're going to be talking about the episode Dizzy. Dizzy aired on January 24th, 2011 in the U.S. and May 2nd, 2011 in the U.K. Its production code, obviously 205. Sensing a pattern here. The episode was directed by Mike Roth and written and storyboarded by Sean Seals and Shion Takeuchi. Sean Seals seems to be that jack of all trades in this show. He does the music and he seems to do a lot of just a lot of whatever they need, kind of like a utility guy. It seemed like I've heard a couple, I think, interviews of him on YouTube or something. Seems like a pretty cool dude. I'm not sure about the Shion person. I need to look into this person more, quite honestly, because this name keeps popping up and probably an important person I need to know about. So I'm going to look further into that in my spare time. You know what? Forget it. I just looked into it and I knew that this name was familiar. Shion Takeuchi, born September 5th, 1988. She is a storyboard artist for the was a storyboard artist for the regular show. Hometown of Northborough, Massachusetts. She gained you know what? I'm not going to read her whole bio here, but the important thing is I knew I recognized this name. She later storyboarded for Gravity Falls. And I remember seeing that a lot. So there we go. Her stint with the regular show lasted all the way up until she left the show after the episode Brain Eraser. She storyboarded the episode with Kat Morris, but was uncredited. So she left to work at Pixar, and then later she went to Disney to work on Gravity Falls. So I hope everybody's been doing well. Not a whole lot of updates here. There's maybe a couple since the last time we talked. I just saw a review for the spinoff of Adventure Time, Cake and Fiona, and I haven't seen it yet. Hopefully I'll get to. I'm not sure if I have access to HBO Max at the moment or not. I'll have to get around to watching it, though, because I was expecting it to kind of I had my hopes kind of high, and then when I saw the title of the review, I thought, oh, no, this is not going to be good. But then it turns out they really liked it, and, you know, that just some of the clips I saw, I'm really digging some of well, I mean, obviously, I like cultural references because I'm a regular show aficionado, but there was a something about Ice King. The screen kept flipping over to him, and they've turned him into like this ice prince, and he's got like these John Lennon type spectacles and this long waving hair, and he's riding around on like this giant majestic looking Gunter type, I don't know, monster or something, and it's just obviously not the Ice King we're used to. And then I think Fiona's having like a dream or something, and it's like, I'm pretty sure it's based on Sailor Moon because she's dressed up like Sailor Moon, and he doesn't have the top hat, I don't think. Ice King doesn't, but I'm not really all that familiar with Sailor Moon, but you know, the dude that's in the tuxedo with the top hat and the glasses seems a lot like that, and the background's all shimmery, you know, and yeah. But the only thing I really remember about Sailor Moon is that theme song that's stuck in my head. I used to get up every morning at 5 a.m. and have my grandmother wake me up because I'd stay at her house before I went to school. And she would wake me up because there was a channel that was showing Dragon Ball Z, and it was mainly usually like the filler episodes, you know, right after the Namek saga. And the one I remember the most when they showed that was the one where Krillin and Gohan go underwater and they're like trying to get an egg away from this fish or something. I can't remember, but it was a total filler episode, around the time that Marin comes and all that. Anyway, Sailor Moon would come on around that time, and that theme song, it always stuck in my head. So yeah, I don't know whether to, like, I don't even know if I think it's a good song or not. And even if I did, I don't know whether I should admit that I think it's a good song. But it's definitely stuck in my head. So there's that. Anyway, if I can, I'm going to get access to Cake and Fiona, and I'm going to watch the crap out of it because, I really like Adventure Time, even though, if you recall back to the first episode of this podcast, I do enjoy regular show quite a bit more, actually. But I love Adventure Time. And I wouldn't know that I said that had I not I just finished editing that episode. I just actually published it to Spotify. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff I said in there, and I listened back and I'm like, I just contradicted myself there. And I didn't mean to. I just I remembering back, I was actually sick on that day. I had a pretty, I don't remember if it was a cold or a virus, one or the other, but I was down. And we actually tried to record that episode, Rob and I did, earlier that month, around the 1st of March. Yeah, that's how long it's been. March 2023. I don't even, you may not hear this episode till 2024. I don't know. But yeah, we tried recording that episode March of 2023, and my power went out. We had like a half hour, and we tried a completely different format, and it was getting along pretty fine, and the power went out, and it was out for the rest of the night, and I was so mad. I know why it was too. There was a huge storm that come through, and there was tornadoes hitting all around the county that I live in, and I got so mad, and I just took off walking outside because I needed to it's completely dark in the house, and the sun was starting to go down, but I was so angry, and I needed to blow off some steam, and and I'm thinking, why did the power go off? Why did the power go off? Because I didn't know the storms were coming around. And then all of a sudden, it was like the wind started blowing and trees were like bending and crap. And I'm thinking, maybe I should go inside because it hit me. I'm like, oh, that's why the power went out, because there's tornadoes going. I mean, I didn't see a tornado, but like there were trees the wind was blowing really, really hard. Anyway, yeah, there's that. So we went back and we recorded that March 31st. So it took us a whole month just to get around to doing that one. And I was sick at that time. And the second time around, I was probably just delirious from not getting enough sleep or something. But yeah, or it could just be that I'm a horrible host. That's always a possibility and a probability, a high probability. Anyway, I do want to thank you for listening and for tuning in and all that jazz, and the thanks and the smashing the like button and all that stuff. I don't even know if that's how podcasts work. I don't think it is. That's okay. Thanks for listening. I like the regular show. You like the regular show. If you don't, then I don't know why you're here, but stay anyway. That's okay. Maybe you will like it by the end of this. All that jazz. Cool. So we need to, no, it's not time for the show to end yet. No, I know you want it to be over, but no, we need to move on to the episode at hand. Dizzy. Before we do that, well, let's talk about all the contextual media that was going on at the time. January 24th, 2011, the number one song, I think, in the U.S. is Britney Spears' Hold It Against Me. I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know she was making music at this time. And I had a novel idea before I recorded this. I actually decided I'm going to listen to the number one song to see what it sounds like. I'll be honest with you, I don't care for it as much as the other Britney Spears stuff, Toxic and all that stuff. When that came out, I didn't really care for it, but listening back, I'm thinking, man, that's a pretty catchy song, and then, Oops, I Did It Again, and I don't know all her songs. I do know she was popular. I used to listen to Britney Spears on TRL because I was waiting to hear Eminem and NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys. Yes, the Backstreet Boys. Aqua Teen taught me to love NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys. I'm just kidding. I really didn't like the Backstreet Boys when they came out because they were competition to NSYNC. Probably not. If you're listening to this, you're probably like, how old is this guy? I'm pretty dang old. Okay. No, I actually, I really, honestly, I just watched TRL because that was the thing to do. So yeah, this song right here, when I listen to this, I'm thinking, this is definitely a heavily produced song. It's got the side-chained low end, the crunchy low end, and, womp, 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 and all them noises.
going on. It's one of them songs. Just when I turn it on, I'm thinking, well, I just walked into the mall here, and I just walked into this clothes store, and there's 150 different types of cologne and perfume that are all way too strong, and I can't breathe, and the air is so heavy that I can taste all these perfumes and colognes. So I need to just exit the store. It's the type of music they would play in there. Yes, some of that music's really good, but not when you can taste the air. So yes, that was the Britney Spears song, number one UK song, same old Bruno Mars, Grenade. I'm not listening to that one. Not that, I'm saying you shouldn't listen to it. It's just, I've got a show to do. Can't Be Friends, Trey Songz, that's number one R&B. Number one country song is Kenny Chesney, Somewhere With You. And I listened to this one too. Gonna be honest with you, once again, not that I would have a reason not to be honest, but I don't like this as good as some of the other Kenny Chesney songs. He's hit and miss for me. Some of his songs I really, really like. I think he's got some really catchy, almost novel tunes, and then some of them it's just like, that's the same old modern country formula, just so cookie cutter, paint by numbers. Actually, I heard Ronnie Neal, I think, over there on, once again, Dancing is Forbidden. He described one of those songs as paint by numbers. He's like, it just doesn't do it for me. It's just so paint by numbers. And he was right. It's that one song, I can't remember. I Hate Everything About You or something. I can't remember. I don't know. It was one of those like rock songs from the 08 to the 2015 type era. Actually, it would have had to been earlier. It would have been maybe 2004. I'm not sure. Doesn't matter. Seems like another one of those paint by number songs. Same old formulaic Kenny Chesney. He's like a coin. He's got two sides. Like that's the best way I can think of describing him. So, like I said, some of his stuff is like, wow, that's novel approach to country music. And then some of it is just like, it's like, I don't know, the record company's got a hold of him or something, and he's just so formulaic there. So that's, in my opinion, it doesn't hold up as well as his other songs. Number one dance track, Cher. You haven't seen The Last of Me. I didn't listen to this one. That's okay. I hope, at least. Maybe you should. I don't know. It's your time. Use it how you wish. Now, I'm not going to go over the box office again because it's pretty much unchanged since the last time. Video games, January 24th, 2011. The week of, I should say. Two Worlds 2. It's a sequel to a game that was kind of a big letdown that was trying to cash in on Elder Scrolls, I believe. I never played it. My cousin saw some early trailers for it, and he swore up and down it was going to be great. It's going to be the best thing ever. There'll be no game like it, and it just flopped. And this is the sequel to that. I guess apparently it's better. I don't know. And then Lords of Arcana, I don't know what that is. They say it's a Monster Hunter type game here. Not sure. Dead Space 2, though, I do remember when that came out. I think the dude's name is Isaac, the character. Now, I never played any of those games, but like I said, I'm pretty sure I mentioned on one of the other podcasts, or one of the previous podcasts, I should say, that Joe guy that lived across the hallway in the dorm from me, he played Dead Space 2 when it came out. He was always playing like a different video game every week. I always wondered, like, how do people buy games and they never finish them? Like, they'll buy like 5 games at once, and they'll play like 3 hours of each of them, and then they'll get tired and they'll move on to the next one. And before they can beat one of them, the next wave of games had come out, so now they're buying 5 more games. It's like, man, how are you? I don't get it, but whatever. It's their money. They can use it how they want to use it. And I apologize for it sounding like I'm arguing with myself. Welcome to my life. So it's January 24th, 2011, and you have just went to Walmart to pick up your copy of Dead Space 2 and 2 other games that you're never going to complete, and you're going to pay full price for them, buddy. And then you go to the movies and you decide you don't want to watch crap because it's all the same old junk and none of it's any good. I mean, it may be. I don't know. But you decide that it's not. I don't know. Maybe you just can't make up your mind. I don't know. Then you're going to go and you decide you're going to turn on the radio going home because you're not a loser. You got a radio. You're going to listen to it on the way home. You turn it on and Cher's dance track come on and you're like, Cher, I'm tired of the Life After Love auto-tune. Forget it. not for me. You turn on, you hear Britney Spears, you're like, she's still got a music career going on, dadgum. Then you turn it again, and Tiger, whatever. Never mind, he wasn't one of them. No, the R&B guy, Trey Songz, he comes on. You're like, R&B's not my thing. And then you get to Chenny Chesney. Yep. Then you get to Kenny Chesney, and he's you just you're like, my friend that tell me about this song. They said it's great, but it's just not for me. Sounds too formulaic. So life's just it's a drag right now. But you still got those games. So you go home, you pop them in, you're like, Dead Space 2 is way too scary. I can't finish this. I'm going to have to take it back. The other two games, you decide, you look at the cover art, and you're like, these are going to suck anyway. I'm not even going to try them. I got to go watch some Cartoon Network because I've just made some bad choices. So you get there, and it's 12 a.m., January 23rd, and it's about to roll over January 24th. And you see on the TV, you've got a new series, Mongo Wrestling Alliance on Adult Swim. And I'm not going to lie to you, I don't know what that is. Then you got Super Jail with the episode Ladies Nights, Metalocalypse with Death Troll. And then 12:45, the time you've been waiting for, Aqua Teen Hunger Force comes on. That's right, number one in the hood, G. Episode Mayhem of the Moonanites. And I'll be honest with you, when I saw this, I'm being honest a lot this evening. Sorry, I'm gonna keep it 100 right here. I don't know what that means, but that's what I'm gonna do. Mayhem and the Moonanites. I thought this episode was the one where there's like 4 or 5 Moonanite episodes. They're recurring characters in Aqua Teen. And this one's the first one, I'm pretty sure. In my opinion, it's the weakest of the Moonanite episodes, but all those episodes are pretty good. The second one, the Moonanites come back, and I think on the DVDs they're just numbered. Moonanites 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. The second one, they come back, and it's, if you like Aqua Teen, it's where they convince Meatwad to go to like this Chuck E. Cheese type place to win tickets for a 10-speed. And then they basically turn him into a bad influence, but they get the Foreigner belt. And it's as dumb as it sounds, the Foreigner belt, it's like, it's a belt based off of the band Foreigner. Hot Blooded and Urgent and all that. Double Vision. And it's the buckle of it is like a big F, and it gives you all the powers of the titles of the Foreigner songs. So like when they sing Hot Blooded, it turns the person they sing it to, actually their blood gets really hot. And like Double Vision gives them double vision. And at the end of it, Carl's like, who has this thing set to head games? And his head's a Connect 4 board. That's a pretty good episode. And then Moonanites 3, I'm thinking this is the one that I like the best. I think that's the one where they get this big old check. They think it's a check up on the moon, and they go down to Earth to cash it. They don't know where to cash it. So the Aqua Teens tell them to go to the bank, and they think that like a convenience store is a bank, and they try to go in there and cash it. And obviously convenience stores aren't going to cash checks. And they get mad, and they they're tearing into the cashier, and he sends them home. And Shake has like a big, I don't even know how to describe. He goes off on this big tirade about how like he's calling the cashier an illegal immigrant, and it's like, maybe I'm not even going to say what he says because it sounds pretty bad out of context. Well, I mean, it's bad regardless, but it sounds even worse out of context. But the cashier's like, Shake's like, maybe I'll call Homeland Security and maybe they'd be interested and whatever. And the guy's like, good, because I'm American. Says about, well, they go and they try to get Carl to cash it. And Carl, I don't know why I'm going on about Aqua Teen. This is a regular show. I do this every time. I'm sorry. I'm broken. Carl, though, he's like basically your stereotypical New Jersey, eats pizzas and subs, sits around. Well, I mean, I guess he's a slob. He's not, I guess, your stereotypical New Jersey guy, but he sits around. He's where I'm going to be in 10 years. He sits around and he's balding and well, no, I won't because I can't stand football, but he watches football games. And actually, I'm not going to be Carl. Never mind. Carl's just pervert. Anyway, they try to get him to cash the check though, and they're like, we'll offer you the sun and all this, and he won't do it, so they knock him out. They shave his hair, and they put it on Meatwad, and he goes in there. Sorry, this is a long-winded way of me getting around to just telling this part of the story. He goes in there though, and he's got Carl's ID, and he's just like a little 2-foot meatball, with a mustache on and everything. But the cashier's looking at Carl's ID, and it's obviously different, but he says,
It all checks out. That's my proper ID. Well, you will notice a difference in height. That's because I'm an organ donor and I had to have my body removed last year. I certainly hope you don't discriminate.
and then the cashier goes, no, Mr. Meatwad says,
Me what?
and he goes, that's not what it says on here. The Meatwad goes,
What's it say?
and he goes, Carl, and he goes,
Yeah, that's his ID.
so it's just like, he can't even, he follows the plan, like, but I don't know if he's got a script memorized or what, but like right when it veers off, everything just crashes and burns. And then I'm sorry, I gotta stop. But he sees the pennies and he's like,
Them pennies?
and he's like, yeah. And he goes,
And you just giving them away? How much is gum?
so anyway, it's the one, like always, the cartoon is completely absurd. I love it. So yeah, sorry, I've got to get back on track here. Aqua Teen Hunger Force. That's not even the episode that aired. It's just the first Winter Nights episode. Sorry. Whew. I don't know, man. I get triggered here and just go off on all these tangents. Next up, Squidbillies. Y'all are lucky I haven't seen a bunch of episodes of Squidbillies, or I'd probably never stop talking about it. Crap. Dave Willis did create it though, same guy that created Aqua Teen. And the episodes were Butt Trouble,
Because that's where the booty shake.
and Double Truckin' the Tricky 2, whatever. And then 1:30 to 2 o'clock, Family Guy, Lois kills Stewie. I remember that one. And Jerome is the New Black. I don't quite remember that one, to be honest with you. Once again, I'm back to being honest. The honest me is back. 2:30, Children's Hospital. 2:45, Robot Chicken. Big Trouble in Little Clerks 2. Sounds like a Big Trouble in Little China parody. I'm always up for that. Mongol Wrestling Alliance, once again. Super Jail. So these are all reruns here. The Venture Bros at 4 o'clock. Ice Station Impossible and Midlife Chrysalis. I think I remember that episode. It's with the moth type dude. I don't remember his name. That's one I need to go back and watch because that seemed like a pretty decent, well, shouldn't say decent, but it seemed like a funny show. I don't know if decency would be the word to describe it, but yeah, I do kind of like the Venture Bros. But Midlife Chrysalis, that right there. Sorry, once again. Man, I just keep doing it. This is my recommendation for the week because this just inspired me to make the recommendation. Midlife Chrysalis, like the song Midlife Crisis from Faith No More. Boy, that Mike Patton could sing. My goodness. Oh, Billboard put out that top 10 singers of all time, and they had like Mick Jagger at number 1, Stevie Nicks at number 2, and Robert Plant was on there. They had Axl Rose at number 10, and I think David Byrne from Talking Heads was on there, in there somewhere. And I'm thinking, my gosh, how is this list even valid? Where's Chris Cornell? Where's Lane Staley? And you're like, oh, grunge fanboy. Well, no, okay, where's Mike Patton? You're going to tell me that Mike Patton's not one of the top 10 singers of all time? With all that crap, all that noise he can do. Guy's crazy talented. I mean, you go back and you listen to some of the studio producers that worked on some of the albums. They say Lane Staley's the most professional as far as being prepared to sing parts. Comes in, he's one of the most professional, or the most professional singer they'd ever met up to that point. And I mean, Chris Cornell, my gosh, I've seen one bad video of him and he was like wasted. And who knows what was going on there, but it was with Audio Slave or the Prophets of Rage or whatever, the Sellouts of Rage. I don't know, whatever. But he was up on stage and he was intoxicated in some way. And that's, who knows what's going on, what was going on there. But I don't want to get into conspiracy theories or anything like that because I'm not really a conspiracy theorist. But, that guy seemed like there were, I'm not even going to get into that. I'm just going to say one bad performance out of countless that he put on. In my opinion, the best vocalist of all time, bar none. I mean, golly, he had it all, dude. Great range, great songwriter, more expression in his voice than I think anybody I've ever heard. And he wasn't in the top 10. Forget it. Stevie Nicks, number 2. I mean, over. Maybe this was just in rock music, but I'd put Pat Benatar over Stevie Nicks. That's just my opinion. But I mean, I don't know. Like Mick Jagger at number 1? Number 1? I mean, I might. I probably wouldn't even put him in top 10. He'd be top 50. Freddie Mercury, I can't argue with that. Robert Plant, I don't know. I like the old Robert Plant. Maybe might put him in the top 10. Probably not. But and I really like Robert Plant. But I think he's hilarious. That video of him meeting Brian Johnson up there in the whatever mountains, hilarious. But top 10? Come on, man. I don't know. I mean, shoot, I don't know. It seems like there's just a lot of people you could put up there. Where's Elvis? Where's Roy Orbison? I don't think any of the Beatles were in the top 10, which, I mean, you know, they weren't great because of just singing or whatever, but I don't know, man. It just so many people seem like better. That list just didn't seem good. I'm sorry. It just didn't. They had Kurt Cobain like number 5, and everybody listening to this, oh, Kurt Cobain, great. Yeah, he's good, but I think that every one of the big grunge singers were better than him. Just my opinion. That's Cornell, Lane Staley, Eddie Vedder, and Scott Weiland. I think he's better at Wayland, however you say his name. I think it's Weiland, but I think they're all better than Kurt Cobain as far as being just a vocalist. Maybe not for being a dependable vocalist or, easy to work with, but just for singing, yeah, that's my opinion. Anyway, I got to get off this tirade here because if you got a different opinion, that's the cool thing about music is it's subjective. But yeah, Midlife Chrysalis has nothing to do with Midlife Crisis as far as I know, but it's a good song. Check out Faith No More. And if you agree with that top 10 Billboard list, then cool, life went your way. That's, I don't know how else to put it. Good deal. We can still be friends if you'll have me. So let's see. Next, 5 o'clock. And I know this is you're thinking, man, I could have watched all these shows before you got done talking about them. Get on with it, loser. I'm getting there. 5 o'clock to 5:30. King of the Hill. Pygmalion. That's the episode that they don't air much. They didn't air there for a while. It's the one where Luann starts dating the. I just watched it not long ago because y'all know I'm watching through the King of the Hill binge again. It's the one. What's his name? Trey Larkson or something. Anyway, he's the pork farm guy. He sells pork products, and he lets Hank up there in that hot air balloon, and he starts pulling on the cord and all that. That episode was kind of creepy. That was probably the creepiest episode of King of the Hill. To be honest with you, that one. Yeah, that was a little bit. I don't want to say. Well, yeah, it's kind of disturbing, but then the next episode, Bobby Goes Nuts. That's the one where he keeps kicking people in the junk, kicks Hank in the groin, and it cuts to commercial break, and then it comes back, and it's a black screen that opens up. It looks like Hank opening his eyes, and Bill standing over going, "You have just been kicked in the testicles." Like, no, duh. Of course. Anyway, yeah, both of those are really good episodes. Highly recommended. 6 o'clock, Hero 108. Don't know anything about it. Ben 10's after that. Once again, we got the great Who Knows What They Are block, the Bakugan Beyblade, Pokemon, and the Who Cares block, Hot Wheels, and Total Drama Island. And then we got Johnny Test, the Powerpuff Girls, episode 307, whatever that is. I'm guessing season 3, episode 7. That's all it's got labeled. What's New Scooby-Doo? Kicking theme song. Yep. Kids today, they just get past it. But man, back in the day, you hear that, and it's like, man, that just made my day. Dexter's Lab at 11:30. Dee Dee's Rival. And then, how do you say that? Sightly, Psycho, and then Game for a Game. Codename Kid Next Door. Tom and Jerry, Hero 108. League of Super Evil, Ed, and Eddie. Grim Adventures of Billy and Manny. Boy, I got to skip ahead. Courage, Coward Dog. Johnny Test, 16. Never heard of that one. Although that was a magazine. Total Drama World Tour. Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. Yes, sir. In Fear of the Phantom. That's the episode. Johnny Test. Then Adventure Time. Her Parents. I'm thinking that's the one where Jake meets Lady Rainicorn's parents. Yes. That's one thing I always liked about that show was she speaks in Korean. It's like, I'm wondering, I'm betting that it actually, as detailed as they are with their production, I'm betting that like it actually translates into stuff. I'm kind of wondering though how like racy that what she's saying is, like how spicy, like how much did they try to get away with censorship wise, because it's in Korean and who's going to check that, but and then we get to the episode we're talking about here finally. Dizzy, Okay, this is, oh, yes, and just looking at this picture, stuff happens in this episode that I'd forgotten about. So here we go, yeah. Mad comes on after that. Robotomy, series finale. That must have not lasted too long because it didn't seem like long ago I was talking about that one as a premiere. King of the Hill, Halloween. They're showing a lot of Halloween type episodes around January here. Halloween, that's the one, I believe it's the one where Halloween gets banned by Trudy, what's her name? Hank goes and eggs her house, and yeah, anyway. Dale's a Wall Street something other, a Wall Street journalist or a Wall Street capitalist or whatever. And then Dale comes out, I'm a ghost, or not Dale, but Bill. He's a ghost, and then his sheet rips, and he goes, Toga! He just turns it to a toga, starts going down the street. American Dad comes on after that, and then Family Guy. So there we go. Let's get into the episode. I have filibustered this for too long. So the voice actors for this episode, Mordecai is J.G. Quintel. Let's see, William Salyers is characters of Rigby, Crowd Guy, and Rich Guy. Sam Marin is Pops Benson, Muscle Man, Young Pops. Mark Hamill is Skips and Man number 2. And then David Ogden Steers is Mr. Mallard. So Mr. Mallard makes his premiere in this episode, his debut. That's pretty cool. So the synopsis of this episode: Pops must prepare for a major speech at the park in which his father will present, or Benson will be fired from his position as park manager. And now thinking back, this is not the episode that I thought this was. I thought this was the episode where Pops goes into like another dimension from eating a donut that causes too high of an insulin spike. This is not that episode. This episode, as I recall, is a phenomenal episode. So let's get into this. The show opens the same old way it always does, and all the black screen, and the birds are chirping, and they're in the park house, and they're talking to Mr. Mallard. It's the first time we see him. He's sitting at a desk behind him. He kind of looks like Pops, big old moon head. His head looks like the moon, kind of like, that it's like an old movie where a rocket ship gets shot up and it hits the moon in the eye and the moon's crying. I think it's the same thing that inspired that Smashing Pumpkins songs, Tonight. It's that same type of moon, His face always reminded me of that. So Benson, he says, it's always nice to have you at the park, Mr. Mallard, sir. And he goes, don't try to fraternize with me, Bert. Yeah, he calls him Bert. He says, my name is Benson. And he turns around, he spins his chair, and he goes, I know what your name is, Beanbag. And he asked him if everything was ready for the statue unveiling that was going to go on at the park this evening. And Benson, he says, yeah, everything's ready. We got the sound system set up and all that. And that kind of funny because Skips is just sitting here and he doesn't say anything the whole scene. He's just kind of like with Benson. Kind of like, it kind of signifies that he's Benson's right-hand man. He's really like kind of I don't think he ever takes over as like second in charge or whatever, but he's kind of like, he's the guy that Benson trusts with whatever. And really, he probably is the most trustworthy guy. And he plays it cool as a cucumber in this scene. So after Benson says, yeah, the sound system's ready and everything, Mallard says, good. Now there's only one thing missing. And he spins around and the camera cuts to a picture of Pops, a painting. And he says, my son. And he says, ever since I told him he'd have to make a speech at this thing, he's went missing. Now I need you to go find him. Otherwise, it's all be for nothing. I didn't spend a whole bunch of money and waste a whole bunch of money and invite all my friends for nothing. Right, Bean Team? And Vincent's like, yeah. Okay, so basically, yeah, I'll go find Pops. So they leave. Mallard kind of slams the door. But he says, go find him or you're fired. Underlined fired. So he's like kind of Benson, I guess early on, kind of like the older archetype of Benson, so to speak. So yeah, pretty cool there. You could tell they kind of had some sort of intention with him even early on. So the plan, Skip says, so what's the plan? And he says, the plan is to go find Pops and make sure Mordecai and Rigby don't screw this up. So, I mean, that's just the very vague plan. Just make sure Mordecai and Rigby don't screw it up. Very, very specific. Don't let the two screw ups mess everything up. Well, the very next scene cuts to Pops, and I don't know why he's so hard to find because he's just sitting on a swing set in the park crying. And of course, Mordecai and Rigby walk up. Hey, Pops, what's wrong? Is everything okay? And he says, no, my father wants me to make a speech this evening. He goes, it's going to be bad. He goes, because I'm a no good turkey and I'm going to strawberry jam the whole thing up. So it just this terminology, ridiculous. They still didn't know, I don't think, what they were going to do with Pops. They were just making him super obscure. But man, it's just like everything fell into place for the character in the long run. So it's great. And I mean, this is obviously obscure because Mordecai and Rigby, they call him out. They're like, what'd you just say? And he's like, I'm just saying I can't. I always get anxious and all this. And he's like, relax. It's not that big of a deal. I make speeches all the time. Mordecai says, when do you ever make speeches? He's like, I speak in front of you all the time. And somehow that changes Mordecai's mind. He's like, oh, you know what? You're right. We can help you get over your nerves, Pops. So we're now transitioning to the part of the show where, they're going to try 2 or 3 things. It's not really a montage. There's no background music, but they're going to try a few things to help Pop get over his nerves. And the first thing that they're going to try is they stand him in front of some bushes and they say, Pops, I just want you to pretend this is all your family and friends. So he starts to try to give the speech. And then he looks up and he sees that nobody's there. And he's like, where did all my friends go? They must have not liked my speech too good. So he gets discouraged and turned around. Mordecai's like, no, Pops, just pretend your friends are here. And this is where I'm calling bull on the show. He says, I'm not very good at pretending, which is crap because that episode, he's obviously good at pretending, just the way he looks at butterflies, his mind's always in the clouds. But that episode, the master prank caller, they're like, Pops, this isn't a TV. Oh, wait, no, that's not the master prank caller. That's the one. There's an episode called, I think, The Hammer. Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting ahead. It's a couple episodes away, but they go to borrow a TV from Pops and he gives them a radio and they're like, this is not a TV. And he's like, it is when you use your imagination. So, this is kind of inconsistent for the character, but quite honestly, as a one-off joke, it works pretty well. So Rigby's like, well, you know what? He goes and gets one of the flyers off of the light post. He says, pretend these are your family. And he tapes it to his head. And it's a flyer. It says band for hire. And it's like your punk rock, spiky mohawk guys. One of them's got like a soul patch. And the other one kind of looks like a ratty dude down on one knee, sporting a chain coming out of us. It's just like your punk rocker guys, just band for hire. So Rigby's like, just pretend. And he's like, okay. So he starts to talk and like the camera keeps flashing back between what Pops is seeing and like third person where you can see Pops. He's got the thing taped to his face and he goes, and he starts to speak and it cuts back to what he's seeing. And he's just seeing the static picture of this band and it freaks him out so bad. He's like, no, get away. And he starts running around in a circle and you see him running in a circle. And then the camera cuts again to this picture. And it's just a really clever animation trick where the picture just kind of like bouncing up and down where it looks like he's running. And then it cuts back again and he runs into a pole. And I got to give props too to Sam Marin here because he's still not like the voice that we hear for Pops is still not, the archetype or the ultimate example, the standard of what you would think when you think of Pops Maylard as the the voice that you think of when you think of Pops. But he's starting to get it down right now, and it's actually a really good vocal performance in my opinion on this episode. This may be the first episode of regular show where it feels like, man, this is really, really regular show now. So after Pops knocks his lights out, and all the flyers off of the pole from hitting it, probably broke his nose or something, or Mordecai says, maybe we should find you some real people to practice with. So then we get a series of like fast cuts and it's him in a baseball field. And he goes, and he does that at every one of them. And it's pretty funny though, because they get the reverb. You can definitely tell he's in like a different place. Like he's on a baseball field and then he's in an auditorium with the same band that was for hire on I just caught onto that. It's the same band that was on the flyer that he had taped to his head. And, it's the reverb there sounds like an auditorium. And then they take him to a movie theater and it sounds like he's in a movie theater. So they really paid attention to, the ambiance to the voice here, even though they're like these little short, they could have very easily, just kind of glossed over that. but they put a lot of detail into this, and I appreciate that. I'm sorry, I appreciate that. Anyway, then let's see. After the movie theater, it's then a restaurant, and then it's like a surgery, or like the doctor's operating on a patient, and then he's in line for, I don't know if it's the bank. Yeah, I guess it would be the bank because that teller's desk there. And then after that, it cuts back to them in the park. They're sitting on their knees, or Mordecai and Rigby are sitting like what they used to call Indian style in school, cross-legged, and Pops is got his head on his knees and he's crying, and Rigby's like, I guess you'll never be good at speeches, and Mordecai kind of socks him, and he says, I know, why don't you just picture everybody naked? And Pops goes, okay. And then the camera just cuts to Mordecai and Rigby's crotches because they never wear clothes, and it's just like, it's nothing different than what you normally see on the show, or what Pops normally sees. But he goes, I don't like this, like all of a sudden, it's things have changed or something. Then he starts crying again, and then Rigby, he says, why don't you just try getting dizzy or something? Spin around till you're dizzy. And we're kind of like, what? How's that going to help him? And he goes, it's better than him looking at naked people. And he goes, Pops, what'd you rather do? Would you rather spin around and get dizzy or look at naked people? And I mean, it's obviously a false dichotomy, but Pops, I guess he just like, well, those are the only two choices I got for whatever reason. And he's like, get dizzy. And he gets up and he starts spinning. And this is, there's I don't know if it's a meme or a GIF or whatever, GIF, whatever those are called. There's one made of him on that. And it's just Mordecai and Rigby. It's a pretty popular image. Pops is just in the field with his arms stuck out like a helicopter spinning around, and Mordecai and Rigby are watching him. Well, then the best part about that is it cuts to Pop's face and he's spinning, and you see the background all like blurry, and he's spinning and he's just laughing, and he's like, it's working. And then the camera cuts back to what he's seeing, and it's like it's a really blurry picture of Mordecai and Rigby. It's the same image, but it's just them standing there with their thumbs up smiling, and the image is going like flashing by. It's very tastefully used, cheap looking art, and that's probably the kind that I like the best. I don't mean cheap in a disrespectful manner. I mean, it's like intentionally kind of tacky, and that's what's hilarious about it. So Pops, he's still laughing, and it's working, and in a palindromatic fashion, he goes back to the bank line and he's spinning in it, screaming, it's working, I'm not nervous. And then he cuts back into the doctor's office, or the surgeon, the surgery room. I'm not nervous. So he goes back in the reverse order of what, he was at the baseball field first when he was giving the speech. Well, now he's at it last, screaming, it's I'm not nervous, into the microphone. So it's great. And they, once again, I'm pretty sure they nail, if I'm not mistaken, they even get like a rotary, like Leslie type, phasey type effect, where the microphone on the baseball field is in one position and he's yelling, I'm not nervous. And it sounds like he's actually spinning around his position to the mic. So it's pretty cool there. So the scene cuts to Benson and Skips, and Benson's like, I don't know where he's at. They can't find him. And then Muscle Man just happens to be push mowing the daggum park. He walks up, he's got sunglasses on, got no shirt on, of course. And Benson says, Muscle Man, have you seen Pops anywhere today? And he says, yeah, who else has seen Pops? And Benson says, who, your mom? And he gets all upset. He's like, no, why does everybody always assume I'm going to say that? And that kind of is fair, because he's only, that's not, I mean, he's done it a few times, but like, it's not nearly as much of a thing as it's going to be as the series. I mean, they find so many. Muscle Man saying my mom is kind of like, if you remember not old school, but like wrestling in the 90s, Diamond Dallas Page had the diamond cutter, and he would talk like, I've got 1,000 ways to pull it off. And it was a very cool looking signature move and all this stuff, and he did have a bunch of ways to pull it off. Well, that's kind of like what Muscle Man's like with the my mom jokes. He's got all these kinds of ways to pull them off, and he's only done it a few times. So I guess it is kind of fair at this point to him say, why does everybody assume I'm always going to say that? But he goes, no, I saw him with those two losers down there by the swing sets. And Benson just automatically assumes, he goes, oh, great, Mordecai and Rigby already found him. So then the scene cuts back to Mordecai, Rigby, and Pops is spinning, and And they're going, okay, Pops, you can stop now. And he goes, I got to keep spinning until I give my speech. Did I tell you I'm not nervous anymore? And Mordecai goes, yeah, you did. And Rigby says, a bunch of times, actually. And Pops is still, oh, it's so great. It's so great. And then he starts losing control. And they're like, Pops. And he kind of gets dizzy and he starts to trip up and everything. And he does like a cartwheel and all these flips and stuff. And then he hits the ground and he like goes, this is part of the show where it gets surreal. So he goes through the ground it's like through this portal and he starts falling and he's yelling. He's like, ah! And it's this crazy scene where he goes through something that looks like a wormhole. And then he hits this part where he's falling where it looks like a bunch of diamonds. Like he's falling to like an ice crystal or something. And then that fades away and the screen turns white and like reality starts deconstructing and there's all these black blocks that are flying up. And then he loses his mustache. It dematerializes. Then he loses all of his clothes and he's falling. And it's just completely white, and he's still screaming. And then things start to get quiet, and he stops screaming. He's like, ah! And then things get kind of stop, and you think like it gets to the point where you think, well, he's touching a solid white floor now because he's just in a white room and he's going to get up. And I mean, I really thought that. I thought he's going to get up and all this nothingness be around him because he kind of looks around and he acts like he's about to get up, but then all of a sudden he starts screaming again and he starts falling. And then he hits this thing that looks like bubble gum, and he hits that, and it's kind of like that Freddy Krueger, where his face is going through the wall. He hits that, and then he tears through it, and he hits this ground, and he's in like this new world, and it's got this gray sky and just like this really apocalyptic looking black ground, like dirt ground. So he gets up at that point, and you realize, well, something's about to go down. And I forgot his top hat actually follows and falls on top of his head. And he gets up and he's got all his clothes and his mustache back. And he looks off in the distance and there's like all these anthropomorphic, like monster looking animal things in tuxedos with hats. And like this fish monster looking thing pops up and it's all like, wow. And you cut back to reality and he's laying there. Mordecai's like, is he dead? And then Pops is going, he's passed out from getting dizzy. That's why it looked so surreal. And Rigby, all he can think of is never passed out when there's markers about. And he takes out this marker. Mordecai says, this isn't some sleepover, dude. You can't do that. So then it cuts back to Pops's, I guess, knocked out dream or whatever. And all these monsters are surrounding him and he's getting all worried. And then you see them kind of clear. They part the way for this giant blue jay and this raccoon or squirrel or whatever Rigby is. I'm thinking he's a raccoon, but that crap, I don't know. Geez, I've got to figure that out. I always get confused on that. But anyway, they come walking through and they got giant top hats and the blue jay's like right in Pops' face and this big reverb because they're out in the middle of like this post-apocalyptic wasteland. And then he coughs and he's like, I got that something. And he goes, sorry about that. And he goes, I am a ice drum. And then the squirrel goes, and I am Ickbeer. And it's the same voice actors. It's J.G. Quintel and Salyers. And those are just anagrams for Mordecai and Rigby. So, yeah. And then Ickbeer takes his hat off. And there's like an ice cream sundae looking thing resting on his head. So this is just like the wackiest dream. So Ice Drum says, would you like some ice cream? Pop says, oh, yes. And he starts eating it. And they're like, so what brings you here? And he said, I was just getting over my fear of giving a speech. And they said, oh, no. Basically, all the people are like, no speeches. And they say, yes, no speeches. We hate speeches too. In fact, we've outlawed them here. No speeches. And then they all three at once go, good show. So they're all kind of like, this is like a world of Pop's subconscious or whatever. And it cuts back to reality, and Rigby's already marking on Pops' face with a marker. And part of it says Rigby's here, and he's painted a bunch of like bushy eyebrows on him and these eyelashes, and there's a mouth with teeth and a tongue hanging out of it, and an ear with like this. I don't know. It looks kind of like the filament from a light bulb type earring. And he's got like circles painted on Pops' nose to make it look like a unicorn horn. So, yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's one of the unicorn, because it is kind of reminiscent of how the unicorn's dressed in Unicorns Gotta Go. So maybe that's what it is. So Benson, he finds him and he's like, what did you do? And Ruby says, that's a nervous tick. I'm sorry. And he's like, I can't believe you did that. Look at him. He looks ridiculous. And Mordecai and Rigby are like laughing. And he's like, Skips, what do we do? And Skips walks over. And in his, the great wisdom of Skips. He's like, you shouldn't have let him spin like that. It's like, well, no, it does, Skips, you know. But anyway, you know, Skips, he's all, you shouldn't have let him spin like that. And then he goes over to his toolbox, like he's gonna, you know, he's about to give him the solution. He says that they're gonna have to go in after him. They're like, go in where? And he goes, into Pops. And then the scene just kind of cuts, and you see their hands grab, and they go, make it quick. I don't want to make it. Rick says, make it quick. I don't want people to think we're holding hands or something. And this is, to me, this is kind of like equivalent to Vegeta and Goku doing the fusion dance in Dragon Ball Z. As much as I don't like Dragon Ball Z, I have seen just about every episode when I was a kid, and I do remember most of it. So I think that's twice I brought that up this show. I'm sorry. I don't even really care for the show, to be honest with you. I just used to watch it a lot when I was a kid. So anyway, not that there's anything wrong with it. If you like it, you like it. I'm burnt out on it. It just seems so cliched at this point in time, because all you see on Facebook is, I'm a Vegeta or I'm a Goku. Oh, okay, cool. That's great. Well, in reality, I'm a Yamcha. So there we go. Anyway, they start spinning around, and, you know, real quick, and then they kind of let go and they're dizzy. And this is a total Homer Simpson moment right here. Mordecai just says, I'm coming in after you, Pops, you know, and like in like almost like a drunk stupor that like Homer would, you know, when he's like kind of fumbling around and everything. It's, I would, if, you know, I would be willing to bet that they got inspiration, maybe even directly, like maybe Quintel was watching The Simpsons and was like, you know what, I've got to pull that off. Or he was holding that in his back pocket, that idea, until the right moment. I would be willing to bet it. I mean, it's that closely resembling, you know, it bears that close of a semblance to The Simpsons there. I would love to be able to ask Mr. Quintel that, but probably never will. That's okay. I doubt he talks to Yamchas. Anyway, they get drunk, or not drunk. I'm sorry, they don't get drunk. That only happens when they drink soda and, you know, the magic wings. No, they get all dizzy and they start to fall. You know, I'm coming for you, Pops. And they fall into like the portal. And right as they do, Skips, he took out a rope out of the toolbox and made a lasso, and he lassos it around them. So like they're tied to this rope falling down into the consciousness of Pops, or in Pops' dream. So it's kind of like in the Nightmare on Elm Street, that last one, Freddy's dead. I guess that's not the last one, but you know, who knows anymore? Where they go into like the dream and they got to pull him out. It's kind of like that, I think, you know, where they're falling into Pops' dream and Skips is going to pull him out at the right time. And now that I think about it, I think I just mentioned that it kind of looks like the Nightmare on Elm Street where Freddy's like poking through the wall when Pops is falling through that bubblegum looking thing. Well, it's the same thing with Mordecai and Rigby when they fall through there. I don't know. Maybe that's not so coincidental, you know, because we got the dream themes, pulling them out of the dreams, falling, you know, the whole like imagery there with the poking through the sheet of whatever that is. So I don't know. Maybe that's not so coincidental. Pretty cool. So they find Pops, and Rigby's like, there's Pops. And they're like, Pops. And he turns around. He's like, oh, Mordecai, Rigby, what are you doing here? We came to bring you back. You got to give the speech. He says, I don't want to give the speech. I don't want to leave. I like it here. And they have this big, long conversation. And Pops' responses get shorter and shorter and kind of a little bit more humorous as they go along. And like, but don't you want to come back? And he goes, no. So, like, you got to make the speech, Pops. And he's like, you don't get it, blah, blah, blah. And he turns his back to the crowd of the monster fish looking people. And he gives us, it's long story short, he gives a big speech, and it's got even, you know, the music going on in the background, you know, like the Union Army type, but not Union Army, probably more like the I don't know, the Mozart type of, you know, music, that era of classical music. I don't know why I said Union Army. I'm a dunce. But anyway, he gives this big long speech, and it's like confounding all the people behind him. They're like disgusted. And he says, surely my father will understand that I will never give a speech, or I'll never be able to give a speech, and that's fine by me. And then that's just the very last line of it. But Mordecai says, never say never, Pops. And he goes, what do you mean? And he says, you just made a speech. And Pops realizes, he says, yes, I did. I just made a speech and everything. And that's when the monster people get disgruntled and mad, because remember, speeches are outlawed in this realm. So they start to try to eat Pops, I guess naturally, I don't know. and Pops is running around from Ice Drum and Igbeer, and Mordecai and Rigby like, Skips, you gotta lower us down. And he goes, like he just lowers his arm like down to his elbow deep into Pops' head, and I mean it makes no difference. They're like, Morty's like, that's all we got, and really they don't do anything to save Pops. What happens is Ice Drum like tries to eat him, and he chomps down on his head, but he doesn't like swallow Pops whole because Pops' head is just too big, I guess, and he throws him, and then Mordecai and Rigby catch him, and they're like, no, Skips, bring us back up, and Skips pulls him back up out of that realm, and Ice Drum ends up hitting the bubblegum looking sky and falling back down. So yeah. So they come out of Pops' head, and then Pops wakes up and he starts talking, and he looks even more ridiculous with the stuff on his face when he's talking. There's just something about it. It's just like, this is so ridiculous, and it's getting into the territory of absurdity that I absolutely love. So Benson's like, can you still make the speech? He's like, oh yes, I can make the speech now. And they're like, good, we got to get this crap off your face. And Mordecai's like, no, it's cool. He's going to make the speech standing backwards anyways. And he's like, you idiots, he can't make a speech like that. And then he says, if Mr. Maylard sees this, we're all fired. So Mordecai gets serious and says, give me the marker. Turn around, Pops. And Pops turns around, and Mordecai saving the day here with his untapped art skills at this point. He draws the squiggliest looking Pop's face. It's just like he draws Pop's face on with a marker, and it's very just squiggly, but it as we find out here, it kind of works. So yeah. So yeah, they're at the park now, and Pops is standing backwards, but it looks like really a horribly drawn Pop's face, and it looks like his lips are swollen and everything, and the face isn't moving. And then it goes to Pop's back, and you can see him. He takes out the cards, and they're all standing there, the whole crowd, and he goes, ladies and gentlemen, I dedicate this statue to the park. And all these guys go, bravo, 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 So I guess that's man number one, man number two, or a rich guy, or whoever was voicing in the crowd, And they pull the sheet off the statue, and Mordecai and Rigby like, that's it? And yes, that is the entire speech. This episode, it's just so many things fall in place. Like the more you analyze it, it's like, this is good writing. And then to make things even better, you get a great joke where this rich guy's talking to Maylard. You've got a fine boy there, Maylard. It's Pops. Camera cuts to Pops trying to cut the tape to the statue, and he's standing around backwards. And you can still see that stupid squiggly face, and he can't see where he's cutting, so he misses the tape like twice. And then finally, he hits the tape, but it just makes him look like, just right after he says, you got a fine boy, Maylard, it's just like, it makes Pops look like he's a complete idiot, So, yeah, the jokes just keep coming with this one. So much physical humor in this show. My gosh. So then the scene cuts to Mordecai and Rigby at the buffet table, or whatever, the food table, and they're eating and chowing down on chicken legs and crap. And Rigby says, that didn't go half bad. And then Benson's like, are you kidding me? He walks up, and Mordecai says, you can't fire me. I thought of the marker thing. And Rigby says, yeah, we totally saved you on this one. He goes, what? You're crazy. And Maylard comes up, and he says, and Pops is still facing around backwards. He goes, that was a fine speech, Pops. And Pops, oh, thank you, Papa. And he's turned around backwards, and he's like crying though, because he's so happy to get, words of encouragement from his father. So yeah. And then Maylard goes over to Benson and says, you really pulled it together this time, ball bucket. And he goes, thank you, sir. It was. And then Maylard just walks off, and he goes, no trouble at all. And Mordecai and Rigby, are you kidding me? You can't take credit for this. We're the one that saved you on this one. We're the one that found Pops. And then Benson said, yeah, and desecrated his face. Now let's go clean you up, Pops. And then he and Pops and Skips just walk off. And then it's just Mordecai and Rigby. And the ending joke it's really a Beavis and Butthead type joke, kind of. It's one of them says, this party sucks, and says, yeah, you want to go back to the Disney World? And they say, yes. And they just start spinning around with the plate in their hand. And yeah, show cuts, we see the credits, creative director John Infantino, and all that jazz. So, I gotta say, this episode, man, it's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I thought this was a completely different episode. This is it's fantastic. It's probably, if I had to say, in my opinion, it's the best episode that we've watched so far. It really is up in that like 8 out of 10 territory for me. Now, there's a caveat there. I could see some people not viewing this as an 8 out of 10 because not a whole lot happens. This isn't a completely, upon first viewing, you'd think this isn't a necessary episode. It's not required viewing, but there is minor character development going on here. So, it's not like it's a completely useless episode. But if you were to view it as a filler episode, man, it is great. There's just so much well-written content here. You've got more than one character here that's like saving the day. Skips is there to save the day. Then Mordecai also saves the day with skills that are called back upon. Him being an artist, that's something that's it's never in the foreground, but it's always like in there's always undertones of, he was a quote failed artist or whatever, back in the day. So, and that's not even really what it is. He's wanted to be an artist and he just didn't pursue the career. And I think a lot of people could probably relate to that, myself included, except I can't do visual art. But yeah, just like, I guess I'm more of a high fives ghost with the audio type stuff that I'm horrible at. But yeah, Skips also saves the day. There's just so much going on here that every character seemed like they played at least somewhat of an important role. Muscle Man even made an appearance. Wasn't a necessary appearance, and it really wasn't that great of a Muscle Man appearance, but it's always cool having him in the episodes, and I look forward to the episodes where he's more of a mainstay. Like, these, I'm getting antsy here because I'm really wanting it to be, and I realize that they have to take the time to develop these characters before they can just kind of like pull them all in together. It's really kind of like how the Marvel Cinematic Universe did. They had to do character introduction, development, and all that before they could pull in the Avengers. It's kind of like that with this series. I'm getting antsy though. I want to see them all tackle problems, like when they go to take on Jean at the other park and all that jazz, But right now, I'm going to say this was a pleasantly surprising episode on how good it was. And I do remember this episode. I don't remember this episode being that good. But like I said, I'm kind of glad this wasn't the donut episode. Not that there's anything wrong with that episode, not to pull a Seinfeld, but this episode I think is a superior episode. I thought that, I don't know, this one's going to be given, we've got a good block of episodes coming up. We've got My Mom next, which is a classic episode. Okay. And then we've got, I think The Hammer is after that, which is another really, really good episode. So this one might give those a run for their money. Quite honestly, this one's pretty good. Rage Against the TV, that's what it's called, not The Hammer. Rage Against the TV. And High Score. Oh my gosh. Garrett Bobby Ferguson. Oh, forget about it, man. This starting on Peeps. Well, looking back, maybe Peeps is the weakest one of this block here. And Peeps was a pretty decent episode, So this Dizzy episode, fantastic. I'm going to give it a 7.5. Just because I can see how it wouldn't be for everybody, but if you're a casual viewer, you're going to find something to like about this episode. It's not a 10. It's not the Neon Genesis Evangelion tribute or anything like that, but it's definitely up there. It's great. Fantastic. Highly recommend it. Go out of your way to watch it. So yes, this block we got going on here, this is going to be some good episodes. My Mom, High Score, Rage Against the TV. My goodness. Party Pete. I remember that one. That was a good one. Brain Eraser. I don't remember that one. That's the one where Shion leaves though after that one. So What is this one about? Brain Racer. Oh, yes. Yeah. That I don't know how I could forget that episode. Yeah. Yeah, that oh yeah, that one's a little racy, but it's a good one. Benson be gone, but I have man, season 2 is really starting. I mean, it's hitting its stride. Yes, I look forward to doing all of these. So even into, let's see, maybe it might slow down a little bit, like 3/4 of the way through season 2, but that might just be not knowing all these episodes like right off the bat from the titles. Wait a sec, no. Grave Sites, oh my gosh, that's a good one. That one's like a total B horror movie. Yeah, that's one of the most memorable episodes. Total Evil Dead type vibes there. Oh gosh, yes, total Bruce Campbell tribute. Yes, all that jazz, good stuff. This is good show. This is gonna be some good stuff here. At least through hopefully the rest of season 2. Season 3, oh my gosh. Season 3, I think the episodes are going to kind of be hit and miss. And I'm sorry, I probably do this at the end of every episode. I'm sorry. It's just, I like looking ahead to see what's coming up. Season 3 is kind of, I don't want to say, I guess it is hit and miss, but it's not like 1s and 10s. I mean, I think what it is there's such memorable episodes in season 3 that the ones in between kind of get overlooked. Because quite frankly, there was an award-winning episode, excellent. There's, let's see, Terror Tales of the Park, the first one comes out in season 3. Those are fantastic. Let's see, Stick Hockey, that's a pretty good one. That's like a Bloodsport tribute. Let's see, Camping Can Be Cool, I remember that one. Skips versus Technology. Let's see, Video Game Wizards, that's a parody of The Wizard, you know. Trash Boat, oh my gosh. That episode has had me rolling. Trucker Hall of Fame, such a good one. Muscle Mentor. I think that's the one where Muscle Man's like a bodybuilder. Golly, they're such good. The Best VHS in the World, such a good one. Death Bear. Fuzzy Dice. Oh, Sugar Rush was the episode I was thinking of with the donut. So you know what? Maybe in the middle of all of these good episodes, maybe it's a lot better than I remember it. So who knows? That'll be way down the road, though. I mean, my goodness, it might be a year before I get to that one. So yeah. Anyway, I guess I'm going to wrap it up here. I do appreciate you listening. If you would share the show, give us a follow. If you would, give us an email. The podcast email is texmexandcandy@gmail.com. I should leave that in the show notes. And shoot me an email if you want to. I don't know if you just want to say hey or whatever. Hopefully by the time this show airs, there's a Discord. I'll try to maybe include a join link on that or something. And if you want to do a podcast collaboration, don't know why you would want to, but if you would want to, then I'd be happy to be up for that probably, or whatever. If you want to, I'm just always, I like the whole, community type thing. So anything at all. I'm not very, not really, thinking of all the possibilities here, but I'm always up to see the ideas that people have. That's how we get better, I suppose. So I guess until next time, thank you all for everything. And how did we say it back in the old Turtles Forever Day? Here's to hoping you enjoy your family. I don't remember it all. Rob was so much better at saying that. So I'll just say, listen to the next episode or you're fired. Thanks again. All right. That's a wrap. Let's get this. Simon, get in here and put this crap up.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm coming.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, hey man, you wanna do Rush Hour 2 this time?
Yeah, man. Do you want to be Chris or Jackie? I think I want to be Jackie again.
I want to be Jack. I'll be Chris. Okay, to the airplane seat. Well, what's the name of this food again?
Gefilte fish.
Gefilte fish. I love this. Lots and bagels. That's my favorite. Well, what's the name of this food again?
Gefilte fish.
Gefilte fish. What's the name of this food again?
Gefilte fish.
You know what this is? Gefilte fish. You want some of my gefilte fish? What's for this?
Okay, Chris Tucker.
Lady, Jackie, kick it.
Okay, Jackie again?
We love to see that. Would we love to see that, Jackie? Jackie, we'd love to see that, wouldn't we? Hey, wouldn't we love to see that, Jackie?
His name is Lee, dadgummit.
There's gotta be something you want.
I always want to Square Madison. I always want to go to Square Madison. I always dream to Square Madison. I always want to.
Was that you kissing her I saw? You sly dog. I saw you not looking back. What? My phone.
Say hello
Hello?
to your dad.
Man, I'm filming right now. Call me back at 7. Call me back. No, you can't speak to Jackie. Jackie, I'm sorry. They want to speak to you.
Hello? We are filming right now. You saw it. You're wasting film. We are filming right now.
Dang. He ain't gonna be in Rush Hour 3.
Oh, good show.